My name is Brigitta Corsello. I am currently the county administrator for the county of Solano, so I would like to welcome you on behalf of the county staff. And it's with great honor at this point that I present to you the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, our master of ceremonies today, Supervisor Linda Seifer, if she'll come up and join us.
First of all, we're going to have the presentation of the colors. Would everyone please rise?
About face. Forward, march. March, march, squat, halt. About face. Right shoulder, arms. Right face. Close up the ranks. Call left. March. Left. Left. Left.
If you would remain standing, I'd like to introduce John Rivasplata, a member of the Benicia Boy Scout Troop Number 8, to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And if Justine Vincente would please come forward.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You know, I'm truly overwhelmed. I think that's the first thing I want to say. I am just dumbfounded by the amazing turnout we've had today. So with that, I'm going to save some of my remarks and introduce the mayor of the city of Benicia to offer a welcome from the city of Benicia.
I want to thank Supervisor Seifer for asking me to be part of this, and I too share her amazement at the turnout, although not surprisingly so, considering what Benicia has always been, and that is a military town, and a proud military town. I'd like to take a moment and simply recognize that with our applause. I want to welcome all of you to Benicia. Just have a few words of welcoming. I know we have many things to explore. I've been in this building many times, and just having kind of a superficial glance at all the changes today, it is just a transformation that is startling and fabulous. One of the things about this building is so many people were involved in making this happen, both at the county, the federal officials, and of course our city officials, and citizens here in Benicia. This is working together at its best, and it shows that with the county and our federal representatives and our city officials, as I mentioned, and citizens, we can do great things when we do work together. The others will talk about the history of the building, which began in 1948, and the various organizations that use this building as their home and as their gathering place and also for events. As I said, I've been here many times. One of my more favorite times is when we recognize the Writing Award for the year in expressing what this country means in many ways. It's a very moving event with young people coming forward and talking about their patriotism. The importance of providing this facility for our veterans is not just because Benicia has this long and proud history. It was pointed out to me by Belinda Smith today that I should remind all of you that our main street is called Military. We have Military East and we have Military West. And it began back in 1847 before statehood. Is with this relationship that we've had with the military. And now we still have an active National Guard, just recently returned from being deployed to Iraq. It's one of the reasons that we're so proud is of this facility and what it means to us is not just because of what it means to Benicia, but I'd like to quote what George Washington said. He said, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation." This is our way of saying thank you for all you have done, all of you veterans, and may God bless you. Thank you.
We are joined here by Kathy Hoffman on behalf of Congressman George Miller, Maurice Delmer representing Assemblywoman Susan Benia, Tracy Crumpin representing Senator Lois Wolk, former Solano County Supervisor John Silva, Benicia Vice Mayor Tom Campbell, Council Member Alan Schwartzman, City Manager Brad Kilger. Also we have Ted Pantillo, the Director of Veteran Services for the County of Solano. Steve Messina, who's a member of the school board, the Benicia School Board, I saw here, and Mark Tonneson, who's our county assessor, and I also saw Dana Dean from the Benicia School Board. And I'm sorry, my colleague on the Board of Supervisors, Mike Reagan, sitting here in the front row. And so now if you would all give them a round of applause and show your appreciation for their presence today. I mentioned Kathy Hoffman earlier. Kathy Hoffman, as you all know, represents Congressman George Miller, who has served and represented this district for I'm sure 20 years, 38 years. There you go. And Kathy has a letter that she wants to read from Congressman Miller. And I just want to say Congressman Miller was instrumental in providing some of the funding that went to support this $2.4 million renovation of this building. And so, Kathy, if you wanted to come forward and read the letter.
What a great day for Benicia, and what a great way to honor our veterans to improve their home here in Benicia and thank them for all their service. I'm pleased to be here this afternoon representing Congressman Miller as we rededicate this building. Congressman Miller regrets he could not be here and asked me to share some thoughts with you. Dear friends, while I am unable to join you today as you rededicate the Benicia Veterans Hall, I am so very pleased to have this opportunity to congratulate everyone involved, the county for its funding for the renovations, and all the staff and the many workers whose efforts have renovated this beautiful building. I am very proud to have obtained a small amount for the help of the renovations in the amount of $150,000 in federal funding to support this important effort, but it has been the countless hours of work by all of you who have resulted in an updated, modern building. You have not only restored the structure, but you have made it a truly accessible and functional space that will benefit our military veterans and their families, as well as the entire community for many years to come. We must all remember that America draws her strength, her inspiration, and her prosperity from the sacrifices her people make. The Benicia Veterans Hall reflects our community's commitment to our military veterans, the men and women who have sacrificed so much in service to our great country. It is fitting that this building stands in the center of the community as an appropriate gathering place for all. Again, congratulations and best wishes, Congressman George Miller, Member of Congress. Thank you.
I would next like to introduce our Director of General Services for the County of Solano, Mike Lango, and he's going to give you a little bit of history about what's gone on with the whole renovation and changes to the building.
Well, thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is really a recognition ceremony. It's a recognition of this building, this asset, this county and community asset, and the veterans that have served this country well over the years. You may not know, but construction for this building began on May 31st, 2011. And it started when Les Davison, is he here? I don't know if he's here or not, but anyway, he threw his Benicia Veterans Building key ring on the table with about 100 keys on it, and he said, I hope at the end of this project, my key ring will be reduced to 1 key. And I can say, Les, that I think we've done a pretty good job, and I was going to ask him if he was here, how many keys does he have now? 2. There you go. 2 keys from 100. So I think we've accomplished that. You know, when the Benicia Veterans Building was originally constructed, Harry Truman was the president. That was, as Linda mentioned, 64 years ago that this building was brought into the community. And after 64 years, the renovation project was long overdue. And it was really developed to modernize this facility with an emphasis on accessibility with people and individuals with physical disabilities. The improvements were designed to maintain its historical features and to recognize its place in the Benicia community. The project included several energy efficiency measures, including a state-of-the-art heating and cooling system, new windows, energy-efficient lighting systems, and low-flow plumbing fixtures, and also the materials that were the construction debris and materials and excavation materials as the project proceeded were recycled as well, so to the extent possible. So modernization of the building also included new cabinetry, replacement of 2 sets of stairs, and a completely refurbished kitchen, and it looks to me like they did a good job downstairs in the bar too. The success of this project is the result of exceptional teamwork and collaboration among the county staff involved in delivering this project, as well as members and representatives from the veterans organizations and the city of Benicia and its staff, as well as our construction contractor. So right now I would like to recognize the county staff, the veterans who were involved in helping to coordinate this project, as well as the city project team members, and ask each one of you to stand as I call your name. And not sure if everyone's here, but I'll just call those names, and at conclusion we'll congratulate you collectively. First, Canon Artici, the county architect, James Bezek, associate county architect, Fred Dennis, also with the architect's office. These are all staff of the General Services Department for the county. Rosa Lane, associate county architect, please stand up, Rosa. She was the project and construction manager essentially for the duration of this project, and she played a very significant role in making sure that it was successful. We also have representatives from Fregoso Builders. They were the general contractor doing all the renovation work. I have Ali Malachi and Lance Agostini. You'd please stand too. And now I'd like to introduce some of the veterans representatives who were very actively engaged in coordination of this project at all the meetings and project staff meetings. It was Leroy Miller, Les Davison, Alice Sneathan, Norm Leja, Ernest Gutierrez, Mark Bennett, and Spencer Dawson. May you all please stand too. And then last but not least, we have city staff that were also very instrumental in supporting the county and the local veterans in getting this project delivered on time. We have Brad Kilger, the city manager for Benicia, Tanya Gilmore in the city manager's office, Heather McLaughlin, city attorney, Lisa Wolf, city clerk, Charlie Knox, director of public works, Melissa Morton, assistant director of public works, Harvey Higgs, a building official for the city, Mark Rhodes, public works department, Mike Roberts in the public works office, a senior engineer, Rick Silva, public works, Ed Greco in the public works department, and Carrie Wenslowski in the public works division as well. So if you would, please join me in a collective round of applause for all these individuals. We'd like to...
The next speaker will be Leja from the Veterans.
I'd like to thank you all for coming today. It is a historic event. As Linda mentioned, this hall has been part of the fabric of this community since 1948. I talked to people that mentioned how their fathers and grandfathers would come here to the lounge and reminisce with their buddies and tell war stories, and they would play shuffleboard on that same shuffleboard table that's down there in the lounge, or crawl around here outside, or mess around down there in the field. So we really appreciate everything that everybody has done for us. The city, the county, the federal government, on behalf of all the veterans organizations, I want to say thank you very much. It's a wonderful gift. We have a couple folks here that have been longtime members, and I'd like to recognize those folks. Right here, down in front of me, is Frank Fiore. He can't stand up, but if you'd give him and also Jones, Mr. Jones here, a round of applause, I'd really appreciate it. We have another couple here that has been instrumental and actually carried this place in the early 90s. Leroy Miller and Frances Miller. Leroy was the groundskeeper, janitor, bartender, facility manager, accountant. Worked for over 2 years, 14 to 16 hours a day without pay. That was Leroy, I believe. And really, Leroy's a Vietnam veteran, retired U.S. Army. Frances is, I have to say this, first woman Marine from the state of Hawaii. And they've both been officers for over 20 years in various organizations. Leroy's now a district commander for the VFW. And Frances is the treasurer for the Women's Auxiliary. So would you please give a round of applause for Leroy and Frances? As Linda mentioned, I think, we have here the VFW Post 101, the Ladies Auxiliary, Post 3928, and the Men's Veterans of Foreign War, Post 3928 as well. If this is an excellent recruiting opportunity, I know we had some folks stand up that were Iraqi and Afghan war veterans. We'd love for you to join. We need to get some young members involved. If you'd like to join, you can see one of the officers at the reception, or you can visit our website. This is a shameless plug here. It's BeniciaVetsHall.com, and you can click on the various organizations, see if you qualify. Also, going along with the shameless plug, you can find hall rental information, and I think we have one of the finest venues in town right now. All right, well, let me introduce our officers here for the Ladies Auxiliary Post 3928. If you would please refrain from applauding until all the officers are standing, I'd appreciate it. And members, please remain standing until all the officers in your organization are announced. Our president is Cindy Johnson. I don't think Cindy's here. Our senior vice president, Jerry Davis. Junior Vice President Sharon Johnson, Secretary Lila Bennett, and our Treasurer Frances Miller. Please give a round of applause to these ladies. Thank you. For our VFW Post 3928, we have Commander Bob Flournoy, Senior Vice Commander and soon-to-be Commander Mark Bennett, Junior Vice Commander Joe Machado, Adjutant Leroy Miller, and our Chaplain Gerald Gerard, pardon me. American Legion Post 101. Second Vice Commander Gary Ritchie. Gary's standing there in the back. Financial Officer and Adjutant and Benicia favorite Spencer Dawson. Chaplain and Service Officer Don Golden. Sergeant at Arms, and I didn't really find out his real name until today because we call him Gunny. His name is Mike McGinnis. And our Judge Advocate and past Commander Leroy Miller. Please give these folks a round of applause. You know, I'd like to also thank our facility manager, Les Davidson, who has endured through this process. You mentioned Les when we talked about the keys. He helped us moving out, moving in, suggestions along the way, attended all our meetings, corresponded with everybody. So let's give Les an applause. Now these are the folks that we dealt with, and they really made it happen. Again, I'm used to calling them by their first names. We have Paul, from Paul Roberts and Associates, Architects, Paul Roberts. I don't see Steve Allen here. I was hoping Steve would make it. He's responsible for some of the cooler features of the hall here. The bar lighting, the fans that you see throughout the building, that was all his input. For GoSo Builders, these folks were wonderful. Just, you know, you hear all these nightmare stories about working with contractors and builders. These folks are the best. And the project manager is Ali Melike, standing in the back, and site superintendent Lance Fergosi. Oh, Augustini. Please give those folks a round of applause. Rosa Lane, could you please stand up? Rosa Lane is the county project manager. This is the most wonderful person I've ever worked with in my life. She gave us everything we wanted except for the jacuzzi. But when things weren't quite right, you know, Rosa would say, oh no, the veterans deserve this. We want it right for the vets. We need to do this for the vets. She always found money to fund the things that we needed. So I really, let's have this place would not be able Thank you so much, Rose. And before the music comes on, like the Emmy Awards, I think I'm going to quit right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norm. Thank you very much. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce the speaker for this afternoon. The man that I am to introduce is the commander of the 60th Operation Group at Travis Air Force Base. As commander, he is directly responsible for the daily operation of the largest air mobility wing in the United States Air Force. The group is tasked with operating with 18 C-5s, 13 C-17s, and 27 KC-10 aircraft on worldwide air refueling missions. Prior to his current assignment, Colonel Millard served as the Director of Operations, Tanker Airlift Control Center, where he was responsible for, get this, the largest air transportation system in the world, and the focal point for operations of over 1,300 and nearly 900 missions daily. Colonel Millard is a command pilot with more than 3,000 hours, 245 combat and 362 combat support hours in a C-5 and a KC-10. Please, if you will join me in welcoming Colonel John Millard for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for the introduction. I'm glad my wife wasn't here to hear that. She just have to put my ego back in check, being an aviator and all. But thank you for everything. It's an honor to be here today. It really is special for us to share, and I appreciate the invitation for Travis Air Force Base to come down. But I am a little bit in trouble because I didn't tell my wife I was coming, because we often come down to Benicia to go down to the waterfront and do the little shopping. But I always find my wallet gets a little bit lighter, and the car gets packed with a little more extra stuff, so I didn't bother telling her I was coming down today. But Colonel Dwight Sones is sorry he couldn't attend. Late last Friday, the general called him out to headquarters back in Illinois. He had to depart, and he doesn't come back till late tonight, so he's sorry he missed. I was there during the quick conversation with the boss, and I quickly volunteered to come. It's an honor to be here today. A little bit about my background. Quite honestly, I'm a native Californian. I was born at Fort Ord, California, which no longer exists, which makes it kind of hard when I write that down on applications because nobody knows where Fort Ord once was, near Monterey. I was a Navy brat, although I still like my dad, being that I'm in the Air Force. And quite honestly, it's fun. Been flying all around the world, and this is actually my second time at Travis Air Force Base. I was here from 2000 to 2003 and flying the KC-10s. And while you heard the description, I'm quite honestly, it's simple. It's kind of think of the Rogaine commercial. I'm just president of the largest flying club and an active member, although it's always nice to have my smart captains to keep me, the old colonel, out of trouble. But thank you very much again for being here. And I appreciate everybody from the surrounding area, from veterans, retirees, business leaders, and families that we have. We're fortunate to have great support out at Travis from such a community, and it's wonderful to see the support here in Benicia for this hall. At Travis, we talk a lot about answering the call. That's our motto. Basically what it means is somewhere in the world, someone's going to pick up the phone and call us. They're in help. And that's what we do. We fly off and support missions. We answer the call, and it's quite simple in three things. We either fuel the fight, we extend an open hand of hope, or we're there to save lives. And it's an incredible capability we have at Travis. And it's really unique in that Travis Air Force Base is the only one that does those three mission sets of air, land, air refueling, and aeromedical evacuation. But we can't do it without you and the local area support, so thank you very much. And that's why it's a pleasure for me to come out here today and share that. Do want to share a little story about how Travis does rely upon this whole entire community. About a year ago, if you remember, the tsunami in Japan. Well, the United States had to evacuate about 2,500 U.S. citizens and bring them back into the country because we didn't know what was going to happen over there. Quickly, the airport at Seattle was overwhelmed, and they shifted the entire operation to Travis Air Force Base. As they came in, we quickly found that us too could have been overwhelmed, but it was the support of the communities that came out. It was truly amazing. In less than 12 hours, as the entire shift and flow of passengers and pets and babies arrived, it was amazing to watch people come out and just moms to hold the babies and people to come out and walk dogs. Businesses coming in to provide food for all the families as we made sure they could change and get on to their next destination. And if you were there in the PAX terminal one time, there was a little boy who was worried he couldn't go see his grandparents in Utah for his birthday. And she had thousands, basically 1,000 people in this package terminal sing him happy birthday. And it's all because of you out here in the local community that came out and helped us. It's time like this when we can celebrate the veterans and our partners in the local community. And so while some of them aren't wearing uniforms today, everybody plays a role in our nation's defense. And we couldn't exist at Travis without your help. And we value all the partnerships. But I do want to talk about why the reason we are actually here. And this grand reopening, and it's a wonderful facility. It truly is. And I know we've talked a little bit about the history, but if you don't mind, I'd like to go into it. Because when they called out and my captains took the phone call and they started thinking about it, it's amazing what they dug up. They're Cracker Jack staff, but don't tell them I said that because I want to keep them working hard. But since it opened, the Benicia Veterans Memorial Building has served many roles. I think we talked about them, from weddings and celebrations. I think the Legions and the Boy Scouts are here as well, and it's fantastic to see. Since it was built in 1948, it's the capacity is only going to get better, as you can quickly see. But it was originally designed to support the veterans out of World War II. They were here to come here to find jobs. Because after the end of World War II, the United Army and the Air Corps, everybody was shrinking. And so a lot of veterans then found themselves in need of a job, so they came here into Benicia. And since then, veterans have gone on from Benicia to serve in many capacities, from teachers and police officers, firemen, community leaders, molding and shaping all the future generations that we have today. And it's quite likely that there's some of the folks that came through here in World War II looking for that job and can remember, and it's wonderful to see the town of Benicia here still supporting it. And just as this building has an amazing history, so does just the town. And for almost over 100 years, the Benicia Arsenal was the primary ordnance for the entire West Coast. And this was an interesting tidbit, and I don't know if you know this, but at one time this area was famous for housing the Army's one and only Camel Corps. Did you know that? I did. Then in 1941, about 24 hours less after Pearl Harbor, 125 separate convoy trucks came by and started picking up munitions. And this is why it takes a nice little Air Force twist. That arsenal was made most famous by a little raid from Jimmy Doolittle. And I know I'm just going to share the story of Jimmy Doolittle because I'm a pilot and I love Jimmy Doolittle, and it's part of our history and our heritage. But for those that don't know about Jimmy Doolittle and the Doolittle Raiders, it was truly amazing. Following the attacks on Pearl Harbor, I know we struggled in the U.S. population. The morale was low, and President Roosevelt was looking for a way to pick us up and strike back from Pearl Harbor and show that we were not going to be stopped. He called upon the country's best engineers and scientists and pilots and trying to determine a way, and then they decided on a top-secret mission to bomb Tokyo. They picked 16 B-25 bombers, but what's unique is those bombers were going to take off of an aircraft carrier, not from land, and they weren't coming back. They stripped down those B-25s to bare bones. Basically enough supplies just in fuel just to get them across Japan, accomplish their mission, and either crash land or ditch in China, and the bombs to make that happen. And those weapons came from right here. On April 18th, 1942, they all took off successfully from the USS Hornet. They flew single file down low and unfortunately used up a lot of their fuel, but they wanted to avoid the radar. They popped up in enough time, dropped the arsenals, and made their way over into China. And when they reached the Chinese coast after 13 hours of flight, they did come down and crash land. But they took on that dangerous mission, knowing full well the grave dangers they had faced. And it was a huge boost to American morale at that time. And it was subsequently our setting for future success, but it all started right here in Benicia. This is why we in the Air Force hold the Doolators to such high regard. And that's why we hold the city, not only your support, but the heritage that you have here in its proudest moment to us in the Air Force. And as we go, I do want to talk about there's some amazing residents and veterans here in this wonderful town. And while we talk about this building, and honestly, it's just brick and mortar, but I find that the hearts out here are truly what makes this place so special. The veterans that serve, and there's one that I had the pleasure to meet today, Frank Fiore. Sir, it was an honor to shake your hand today. Many of you probably know him. Today I had the pleasure to meet him for the first time, but you're a great man and a great American, sir, and thank you for your service. For those that don't know his story, my captains had a great time chatting with him. And they said, sir, you're going to love meeting with you. And He was born out in Massachusetts, 1922, and like many young Americans in the early 40s, was drafted into the Army and went out to the Aleutian Islands to serve, supporting the 90-millimeter cannons out there, as well as the radar and optical gear out on the Aleutian Islands. But after the war, Frank came back and he separated from the Army, and he came to Benicia looking for a job, and this facility was here to support him. And he worked on a lot of military projects all throughout Northern California, and he was the commander of the local American Legion, worked in Concord at the Naval Weapons Station. He also managed the Nike Ajax and Hercules missiles. And those are a little bit older missile sets, but I'll tell you, they were designed to shoot down airplanes, so I'm in the Air Force, but it's okay, I still like you. But he and his wife Jenny have been married for 67 years, and they have been an integral part of this community ever since 1946 when you came here after World War II. And this year you turned 90, and it's very fortunate, and it was an honor to meet you in the audience today, sir. But if everybody give him one more hand of applause. And I know there are many veterans and community partners, and I've shaken many hands today, and it is a distinct honor to meet everybody. Veterans, I find, and their families exemplify the highest ideals of our service to our nation. And for this, we owe them all a debt of our gratitude. And not just today, but every day. American veterans uphold a proud military tradition that's passed from generation to generation. And I've made a comment too. My father was Navy, and unfortunately, my 13-year-old son is dead set on becoming into the Marine Corps. I'm trying to change that, but he'll carry on tradition. Although our uniforms and our aircraft and missions have changed from generation to generation, all veterans share a common bond, and that's a devotion to service. At Travis, we are currently carrying on a proud military tradition. Right now, we have 711 members from Team Travis out there fueling the fight. In addition to our combat accomplishments, we're also proud of our response to the unforeseen disasters that have recently happened. And as we deliver that, I've said, that open hand of hope with the earthquakes that struck Japan just about a year ago, all the way to we were the first C-17 to fly medical supplies into Haiti after their earthquake. And we saved lives. Just a few months ago, if you remember, in the city of Fairfield, when the plastics plants erupted into flames, it was our Travis Airmen out there standing side by side, the firefighters extinguishing that blaze as well. At Travis, we're America's first choice, because when our nation's call, we're there to answer. And we always say yes, but we can't say yes without your wonderful support, so thank you. So today is a day of celebration of this amazing facility, and a day to honor all of those that came before us in the profession of arms. You have served our nation with great distinction. And I'd like to finish just by asking one favor today. If you can make it a point, and we talked about just our veterans, but it really comes down to our family members. And whether you have someone that was a mother or father, uncle, neighbor, aunt that had served in the military in some way, shape, or form. And I talk about our military families are the bedrock of the foundation of America for us. Please tell them thank you. Please look them in the eye and shake their hand and just say thank you for your service. For me, it's an honor. It's an honor to serve, and it's an honor to be here today and be a part of this wonderful celebration. Thank you very much.
Gerald Jones, if everybody would please rise, we'll have the closing ceremony. Oh, Heavenly Father, we ask that you will dismiss us with your blessing and grant that we may continually experience the calmness and sincerity of heart and soul which comes from you. Make us useful servants in all things. Amen.